Stay tuned for highlights from the trial of businessmen Moses Mpofu and Mike Chimombe, who are facing fraud charges relating to a government goat scheme worth $7 million United States dollars. And in sport, we speak to Warriors coach Michael Nees on his players' fitness levels ahead of 2 international friendlies lined up for Friday this week and Tuesday next week. And now taking a closer look at the stories making the headlines tonight. Government has already started mobilizing resources to construct more mini interchanges on road junctions across the country. This was revealed by Transport and Infrastructure Development Minister Felix Mona during a question and answer session during today's post-cabinet media briefing.
And we are happy. And if you look at this interchange, it's a corridor approach. And we were then directed by His Excellency that we are not stopping there, where already those who are using that road, you'd relate that close to Rothmans, Willowville, Simon Mazoro Junction, we are already starting a great separation, which is a mini interchange, and concurrently at the ZBC. So this is something that will be happening now as we speak. But we are now going to mirror is the entire Great Harare, where already as I speak, we've started mobilizing at Mavuku Junction. We are mobilizing on site, where we are going to have great separation again, and those who are actually going to airport will be accessing the airport right from the junction. Those to the great city will also be accessing from that same platform. And also the Jaggers, which was known as Jaggers before, the Mutare Road and Harare Drive, where we are also going to be having a mini interchange. And this is happening. It's no longer a talk show. And the same company will also look at interchange at the Harare Drive and Borodo Road, which was also problematic, but you're also going to be seeing a mini.
Still with Cabinet, government has adopted the implementation of the Industrial Reconstruction and Growth Plan in the pharmaceutical sector as a priority to increase the proportion of locally produced essential medicines from 30 to 60% by 2025. Speaking during today's post-cabinet media briefing, Information Minister Jennifer Musere said the main objective is to reduce the national medicines import bill.
Although pharmaceutical exports remain lower than imports, there was a notable 15.6% rebound between 2020 and 2024, with exports growing from United States dollars 4.5 million to 5.2 million United States dollars. Furthermore, the import management strategy has enabled 2 indigenous pharmaceutical retailers to transition into manufacturing. Notably, the Medicines Control Authority of Zimbabwe has achieved maturity level 3 of the World Health Organization's benchmarking tool, indicating a stable and well-functioning regulatory system. To guarantee continued growth of the pharmaceutical value chain, the government of Zimbabwe will continue to provide adequate funding to NATFAM and to commit to ensuring sustained uptake of locally produced drugs by public agencies.
Let's quickly look at some of the highlights from today's post-cabinet media briefing. The SADC region is considering adopting new strategies to improve intra-regional trade. The bloc noted that trade within SADC member states only consists of 19%. SADC senior officials will be presenting key solutions set to boost trade to ministers responsible for trade on Thursday.
When we looked at the figures of intra-African trade and intra-SADC trade, we realized that SADC trades 81% with other countries and other regions, but only 19% intra-SADC trade, which is a matter that we have to address, especially considering the turbulences that are in the world now. And also, if we are comparing ourselves to what other regions are doing, we are lagging behind the SADC. And we also interrogated the issues that have led to that low level of trading. And these are the issues that we've identified and tried to find solutions to, so that we'll recommend to the ministers who are going to meet on the 5th, the Ministerial Trade Committee. They are going to meet on the 5th to adopt the recommendations that we discussed yesterday.
Now, SADC Deputy Executive Secretary Angel Makombo Ntumba said amongst key issues discussed, industrialization took center stage as a catalyst that can promote development and upscale trade.
One of the objective of SADC is to industrialize. Industrialization will lead us to development. And me, as a Deputy Executive Secretary of SADC in charge of regional integration, and integration issues are really close to my heart. And on this, we are really looking at every sectors that we can improve. And we had the issue on tariff, but we also have issues to harmonize the tariffs. There are discussions among member states, and but also there are some disagreement about member states. And one of the issues is that we don't have a mechanism within SADC to settle differences between member states. That also we discussed.
We now look at the 57th Plenary Assembly of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, currently underway in Victoria Falls, where leaders are calling for a unified approach to artificial intelligence governance. SADC PF President Justin Tokely and other speakers emphasized the need for uniform AI frameworks to ensure the technology promotes good governance and transparency. Sharon Munjenjema has the details.
In his opening remarks at the symposium, which preceded debates on artificial intelligence applications, SADC Parliamentary Forum President Justin Tokely emphasized the need for a uniform definition of AI in the region, accompanied by corresponding regulations and policies.
Expérience, défis et opportunités. Nous nous pensons aujourd'hui sur un thème de ce type qui a été recommandé par notre hôte et qui est parti pour toutes les commissions.
Contributing to the debates on artificial intelligence application in SADC parliaments, Zimbabwe Speaker of Parliament Jacob Mudenda said it's time for Africa to leverage artificial intelligence despite the risks involved.
Time has come for Africa to move forward like any other continents in the world.
Several academics from Zimbabwean tertiary institutions presented on various AI aspects at the symposium, providing legislators with an overview of artificial intelligence. Professor Eddie Mwenje, Vice-Chancellor of Bindura University of Science and Technology, revealed that the Parliament of Zimbabwe is collaborating with the institution to develop AI features, including a chatbot that can translate and transcribe parliamentary proceedings.
We have developed an AI tool called Titus, which is able to interpret, to translate our local languages. We are working on the Parliament Access Control and MP Attendance platform, and also the AI-powered chatbot for citizen engagement, as well as training parliamentaries.
As the Parliament of Zimbabwe embarks on this AI-driven journey, one cannot help but wonder, will the chatbot's ability to record, transcribe and translate parliamentary proceedings pose a threat to the jobs of Hansard reporters who have long performed this function. Only time will tell. Shiro Mujinjema for ZTN News in Victoria Falls.
Now, when Newsplus returns, we'll give you an update on the arrest of the owner of the pit bull that mauled a man in Bluff Hill.
Crowd goes absolutely emphatic. He has done it.
Get ready for more on Supersport, the only place to watch all the FIFA Club World Cup. Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
You're watching Newsplus. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, the owner of the pit bull that mauled a man in Bluff Hill on Sunday has been remanded in custody after the state opposed bail. Mike Mupinga was not asked to plead when he appeared before Magistrate Marewa Najo Gofa, charged with culpable homicide. Gofa is expected to hand down the bail ruling on Friday. And allegations are that on May 31, Mupinga, the owner of 3 pit bulls and a Rottweiler, went to bed and negligently left the dogs roaming around his yard, which is secured by a short perimeter wall. The vicious dogs then scaled over the perimeter wall and attacked the now deceased Samuel Machara, who was walking along the nearby street. There has been a public outcry on Mupinga's charge, with calls for him to be charged with murder. Our correspondent Shikomborero Parafini spoke to legal practitioner Mofat Makuvatsine, who explained the circumstances.
So we have this situation of a person who was beaten by dogs, and you find that the person appeared in court today facing culpable homicide charges. And the issue is, some people have the view that he should have been charged with murder, but you find that murder in terms of the law constitutes a crime of intention. That is where a person should have harbored the intention to kill another and goes on to implement the action of killing that person, which results in the death of a person. Culpable homicide is the negligent act of a person which results in the death of another. Now, in the present case, you will find that dogs are said to have caused the death of the person, but we have a difficult situation in the fact that what was seen was a dead person who had been beaten by dogs. But there is no person as of yet who has come forward to say, I saw this person alive and the dogs started beating this person when I was there. And this raises a question of what we call the cause of death. Was the cause of death because of the dogs, or maybe the person was dead well before the dogs arrived?
Meanwhile, the accused person, who has an outstanding warrant of arrest over a rape allegation in a pending case, is also expected to appear in court this Wednesday on default inquiry. An applied canine behavioral scientist, Dr. Mnashe Nzembe, now joins us live to give us further insights into the behavior of pit bulls. Good evening. Could you share with us the behavioral traits of pit bulls and explain why they are so aggressive and vicious?
We want to talk about pit bulls. Pit bulls, these dogs, they are bred for blood sport. That is, they are bred for, that is, bull baiting, and they are also bred for fighting. These dogs actually what they need. This dog, actually, this dog, they have different stereotypes, and they have temperaments and different temperaments. So this dog actually is they are mainly known as loving dogs. They are gentle and they're kind dogs. But also, if you confine this dog, actually, it will result maybe into an aggressive behavior because of stress. So these dogs, they need mental stimulation. Then also, there is another thing that when you're interacting with pit bulls, you should also prioritize respect, also caution, and also understanding them. Then we want to talk about the do's and don'ts. The do's and don'ts: approach these dogs calmly. The another thing, let the dog investigate you. How? By sniffing you. That's when you are allowing the dog to. Then you pet the dog. That's the proper way of greeting a dog. Then also, another thing that we want to look at is also provide proper training and socialization.
And then from a policy point of view, what do you think should be done to regulate ownership of these animals?
We want to look at something about regulations. On the regulations, what I advise, maybe we should not target on the specific breeds, but what we should do is to focus on responsible pet ownership, maybe to enforce laws that are targeting mainly on responsible pet ownership, such as dog licensing, also vaccinations, proper place where your dogs will be living. So I think inspectors, they should check where these dogs, the places for each and every dog. If an owner wants a dog, before he owns a dog, maybe what I recommend is inspector should come and inspect first the place. Then also there's this thing that is important also, education training. Communities should be educated, and also owners should invest in proper training. Then also there's owner accountability, accountable for dogs' behavior. Also the owner should be accountable, and also there's this thing that is important. If any dog portrays a bad behavior, in actually I blame the owner, because each and every dog, they learn from observations and experimenting. Then also things that should be done, like community engagement, like seminars, responsible pet ownership seminars.
Thank you very much for sharing your pointers on what our viewers need to know about pit bulls and keeping dogs. Now, moving on, the Moses Mpofu and Mike Chimombe trial in the presidential goat pass-on scheme continued today with the fourth witness, the principal examiner deeds from the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs, Bevan Mutsika-Mawe, telling the court that he could not find black dick livestock and poultry farming in the system when he was asked to provide company details by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. Kimberly Chimbalanga continues with her extensive coverage of the trial.
The Moses Mpofu and Mike Chimombe trial in the presidential goat scheme continued this Tuesday with the principal examiner deeds in the Ministry of Justice and Legal Affairs, Bevan Mutsika-Mawe, telling the court that the company that was awarded the tender, Black Dick Livestock and Poultry Farming, was not in their registry database. The tender was awarded to Black Dick Private Limited, trading as Black Dick Livestock and Poultry Farming. The witness Bevan Mutsika-Mawe told the court that in February 2020, an act was put in place that mandated companies to register their trade names. Mpofu's lawyer Tapson Zweter, however, argued that Black Dick Private Limited was registered in February 2015 and subsequently assumed its trade name, something the witness did not dispute. The witness further added that in 2015, companies were not required to register their trade names, but after February 2020, they had to abide by the provisions of the new act. The trial was deferred to June 5 with more witnesses expected to testify. For TN Prime, I'm Kimberly Chimbalanga in Harare.
Now, the city of Bulawayo has, with immediate effect, banned haulage trucks from the central business district in a bid to reduce congestion and improve safety under the latest policy. Haulage trucks, and they will be required to use prescribed routes on the CBD's peripheries, diverting traffic away from the busy city centre. Our correspondent Andile Chuma gives us more on the latest restriction.
Well, good evening and thank you very much. So the city of Bulawayo has banned all haulage trucks from accessing the central business district. This they're saying that they are doing it to reduce congestion. They are saying that haulage trucks are behind some terrible accidents that have occurred previously in the central business district, and they are also saying that they want them to stick to set routes which are on the peripheries of the central business district. This was said by City of Bulawayo Town Clerk, Mr. Christopher Dube, in a statement issued earlier this evening. So we're not sure if motorists are going to stick to this, and he has also notified truckers that they should not cross.
Thank you, Andile, for sharing the latest on the haulage bans in Bulawayo. Now, while external support from multilateral institutions like the IMF and World Bank remains significant, there's a growing push to strengthen internal development frameworks. Against this backdrop, Action Aid hosted stakeholders today in Harare to discuss on pertinent economic issues such as taxation and debt management. More in the following report.
In 2024, African countries owed more than 600 billion United States dollars to external creditors, with 80 billion United States dollars in debt service payments due in 2025. While funding from institutions like the World Bank and the IMF is intended to support development, critics argue that the current global financial architecture risks fostering a cycle of dependency, fueling calls for urgent reform. At the National Dialogue on Financing for Development conference in the capital today, stakeholders called for alternatives.
There's need to reform the global financial architecture. Why do we need to reform it? He has already mentioned that America has got about 16% of the shareholdership of IMF. The whole of Africa, not just Zimbabwe, but the whole of Africa combined, we only have 4%, which means each country has got like 0.0 what until we get to 4% as the whole of Africa. So that already shows you that we do not have a say within the IMF.
At the stakeholder meeting, there was a serious debate on debt management for African economies, with some arguing that borrowing does more harm than good, while others with a divergent view think effective use of borrowed funds is key. This brought about one noble strategy, the debt development swap. Debt development swap is where a country's portion of its external debt is forgiven or restructured on condition that the borrowing country invests the equivalent amount in local development projects such as education, health, or environment. These swaps have a number of advantages if done effectively.
These swaps ensure that a country can undertake its development programs using its local currency, which becomes the equivalent of its external debt. And what does this mean? This eases budget constraints, because now you're not looking for foreign currency to cancel out your debt, but rather you are now using your own local currency to undertake development projects.
Debt accruals sparked conversations on ways to support development without borrowing. Another recommendation that was put forward is the use of reparations. The suggestion is to create African and regional value chains from the proceeds of the reparations.
So for example, if a certain country has got oil, abundant oil resources, like Mozambique has, like we have, so I'm told, the next best thing is to ensure that we use that money to create a refinery. And when you create an oil refinery for the region, it automatically means that you do not need to import diesel or petrol from anyone anymore. And that reduces your cost of production.
To self-sustain and minimize borrowing, progressive taxation and curbing of illicit financial flows could be the answer. However, for this to manifest, it is upon a tax-compliant general citizenry, as some players and individuals evade tax.
Where taxation happens and the money goes into the public accounts, and then the public accounts support the public good provision of gender responsive public services and other services that the people need, that would be a good thing. Those that have must indeed pay, and they must pay to the government, and the government must utilize that money in a transparent and accountable way.
Zimbabwe's private sector has taken a proactive stance in shaping the country's economic future, emphasizing the importance of sustainable development through increased productivity, investment in local value chains, and export growth. by recommending strategies that reduce reliance on borrowing, such as fostering public-private partnerships, promoting fiscal discipline, and enhancing domestic resource mobilization. Tavares Bochiwe for ZTN Prime.
We are now joined live by Eben Mabunda for perspectives on this subject. Eben, what are your thoughts on whether Africa needs aid or not?
Good evening. Well, the answer is yes and no. Why I would say yes at this particular point, the continent lags behind in terms of infrastructure, transport infrastructure, technological investment, and so there would be a certain degree of debt financing that would be necessary at this particular point. However, it's important for Africa to access comfortable lines of credit, but still within the context of the affirmative. I would say that given the fact that the United States of America has taken on a bold stance in cutting down the amount of foreign aid that it extends to the continent, I would give an illustration of an economy like Zimbabwe, where it is that the amount of aid that was coming from the United States of America is valued at about 10 to 15% of the country's national budget. So that is something that is across the board. So where those particular holes are concerned, there might be need to take advantage of different forms of aid to try and close some of those gaps. At the same time, speaking to the no aspect, or the negative, as I would put it, I think Africa, as has been indicated that it's of course a rich continent, I think it's important that there be the closure of some of the gaps within the African continent. There are billions of dollars that are lost per annum through illicit financial flows. So if those gaps were to be closed, there wouldn't be need virtually for any form of foreign aid.
Thank you very much, Eben, for sharing your insights with us. Now, when Newsplus returns, we'll give you further updates on stories from the world around us.
Basilwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze. Sekunjalo.
And now moving on to the current radio license debate, mandatory radio licensing fees might be the boost to media sector needs. The fees are estimated to rake in over $100 million annually for the national broadcaster. But critics have been arguing that the policy lacks clarity and favors the state broadcaster. Faith Nyore gives us the details.
According to a 2018 to 2022 Zimstat report, there were 1.4 million cars on Zimbabwe's roads. By this figure, suppose every one of these vehicles is compliant, the national broadcaster will receive $130 million annually. The licensing fees have always been in existence, but now it is a matter of enforcement, which will not allow for a motorist to buy their car insurance and Zinara fees without producing the radio license. Why now, some may ask? Authorities believe this is the only way the country's broadcast sector can reach its full potential through the establishment of a media fund. This may result in the creation of our own Zimbahood, just as Nigeria has Nollyhood.
We are envisioning massive human capital development that will also benchmark Zimbabwe way up there to a new phenomena of a Zimbahood.
A portion from proceeds towards ZBC will be directed towards the fund from which media players can borrow.
This is going to be the fund where all of you will be picking trinkets to make sure that you entertain, you educate, and you give access to information and be the conduits of freedom of expression for our people.
While the government insists it's for the greater good, some stakeholders are not convinced. Media advocacy group MISA says the move appears to benefit the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation alone rather than the broader media industry.
From our reading of the Act, it is clear that the money will go to ZBC. Yes, ZBC because it has a constitutional mandate as stipulated in the Constitution. But it will be fair to also have a broadcasting fund that also supports other media houses, other broadcasting players.
The Zimbabwe Union of Journalists sees the potential, calling the plan ambitious and necessary, but points out one major issue. Nothing is on paper yet.
When you look at the law that recently was passed by the President, the Broadcasting Services Act amendments, they speak about ZBC licenses. We have, and we always submitted to the ministry, that let's convert that fund from a ZBC license fee to a media or a broadcasting fund, if you want, so that other players within the broadcasting sector.
As questions continue to mount, one thing is clear: the media sector is hungry for reform, but the path for that change remains uncertain. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I'm Faith Nyaude in Harare.
Now, in a significant move to expand healthcare access for Zimbabweans living abroad, Bonvi Medical Aid Scheme has launched a cross-border medical aid plan tailored specifically for Zimbabweans living in the diaspora, starting with Botswana and South Africa. The move, announced in Harare, marks a groundbreaking initiative by a wholly Zimbabwean-owned medical aid provider to address the growing healthcare concerns of millions living outside the country. And with the rising cost of healthcare and limited access for many in the region, the launch has been hailed as a timely and transformative innovation. Bonvi Chairman Maxwell Revai says it is a borderless healthcare solution in which one can access healthcare in Zimbabwe, Botswana and South Africa.
This initiative is not just about expanding our footprint. It reflects our determination to enhance healthcare, the healthcare accessibility we want it for all Zimbabweans, no matter where they reside. This partnership not only enhances our service delivery, but it also ensures that we are strategically positioned to address the healthcare challenges faced by our members in these regions. When you look at the statistics, you will see that we are not yet there. The numbers are not yet pleasing, but we should be grateful for these milestones and we should celebrate these milestones.
Now, the firm has since entered into a strategic partnership with Ibovax, a healthcare solutions company, which will help roll out services in Botswana and South Africa, countries that host a significant population of Zimbabweans.
So a partnership of this nature is geared towards making corrections towards that, not only creating access to good quality healthcare, but also to also focus on affordability of healthcare, and an introduction of a Be Healthy product in partnership with Bonvin and Abovex is one of those steps that will allow our communities to have access to good quality healthcare. The environment is ripe for us to create models that will continue to promote access to good quality healthcare. It was for this cause that at Lancet Laboratories we decided to support Be Healthy.
And now taking a look at what's happening globally, white genocide in South Africa, a huge claim by the Trump administration after Donald Trump ambushed President Cyril Ramaphosa with allegations and even video footage at the White House briefing in May. Yet the truth of what's going on appears far more complex. Some farmers on both sides of the debate, as well as other locals, spoke about the matter to give an understanding of where the row stems from and how valid it really is.
genocide is something that has a very broad meaning. To say that we are experiencing a white genocide in South Africa at the moment, I think is maybe pushing it a bit. But, you know, who knows where this could go in the future, given, you know, the hate speech, in our view, kill the farmer, kill the boer, bang, bang. And I mean, these guys get an audience to do that. It kind of gives one the idea that it's condoned and it's okay to just go out and kill farmers. And I don't just mean white farmers, I mean commercial farmers, white, black and all colours.
I think I was watching that and it was quite a shock, and he mentioned that every one of those crosses was a burial ground for a dead farmer, which is clearly not correct. But I just thought it was very sad that, look, all I know about America is what I see on TV, but they're meant to have one of the best intelligence systems in the world, and I thought it's really sad that the President of America isn't properly briefed, that he would make a mistake like that.
Now, while the murder rate is very high in the country, over 26,000 last year, 44 were within farming areas and 8 were farmers, and the statistics not broken down by race.
South Africa is a full democratic state with a lot of NGOs, NPOs, and free media. They would have run headlines both locally and abroad on seeing the first sign of a genocide. The picture of many crosses on both sides of a dead road between Newcastle and Normandin, KZN, flows from a Normandin registered case, 19 of 8 of 2020, where the incident occurred on the 30th of September that year on Hanover Farm. It's a sad story of Mr. G. Rafferty and Mrs. V.L. Rafferty. They were sadly murdered by criminals in their home. The incident sparked a very strong protest by the farming community in the area. The crosses symbolized killings on farms over years. They are not graves.
Now, fighting continues between government forces and M23 militia in the mineral-rich east of the country, with the DRC accusing Rwanda of backing the insurgency, which that country denies. DRC government spokesperson Patrick Muyaya Katembwe called for a bloc of patriots to tackle outside interference in the country, particularly in M23-held Goma.
Le président de la République était disposé, avec les autres Congolais désireux comme lui, de se battre pour la préservation de ce que nous avons de plus cher. Dans un contexte où nous avons vu se faire un bloc autour de l'axe du mal. Lorsque je parle de l'axe du mal, vous savez bien de quoi je parle. Et lorsque vous voyez cette tentative malsaine de vouloir congoliser l'agression qui vient pourtant de l'extérieur, aujourd'hui nous avons besoin, et j'espère que vous-même vous en ferez part, d'un bloc de patriotes qui vont mettre fin à toute initiative tendant à ouvrir à une quelconque forme de légitimation, entre guillemets, de ce que fait le Rwanda en RDC sous des fallacieux prétextes. Et donc,
An official from the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, has warned that refugees in Kenya are facing heightened hunger risks as critical funding shortfalls force the agency to reduce food aid to its lowest levels. The WFP urgently requires $44 million to provide full rations and restore cash assistance for 720,000 refugees through August. Without additional funds, In-kind food rations are expected to be cut to just 28% of daily needs in June, and all cash assistance will be suspended.
We haven't been able to offer 100% of a food basket for a very long time, many, many years. But in the past couple of years, we've had to move that food basket into 40% of a minimum recommended food basket. And now in June, for the first time, I think in the history of both of the camps in Dadaab and Kakuma, we're going to have to go down to a 28% of the recommended food basket. We've never been that low. And so we can tell you what might be the impacts, but we've never seen the full impact. This is devastating.
Aviation experts nod Zim's aircraft disposal. That story right ahead. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Industry and Commerce has called on Zimbabwean companies to reinvest in technology and research to maintain competitiveness ahead of increased regional trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area. Speaking at the recent Zimbrands Awards, the Industry Permanent Secretary Dr. Thomas Utete Wushe said Zimbabwe should leverage its positioning as the connecting link between the North and South of Africa for economic mileage.
Connecting Zimbabwe to 9 different countries, 9 economies, which we are talking of about $360 billion. So that is what we saw today. And by being interconnected or interlinked to these 9 countries, we are calling for the local industry to scale up their production so that the logistics now that is now enabled by the Trafalgar's interchange, linked to north, south, also linked to east, west, we will see a flow of goods coming from the Indian Ocean, crossing to the Atlantic Ocean through the strengthening of our corridors.
Now, aviation experts have welcomed Air Zimbabwe's decision to sell its 2 Boeing 777-200 aircraft, describing it as a sensible and necessary move to streamline operations and improve financial sustainability. The long-haul jets acquired from Malaysia Airlines in 2018 have been grounded since 2020 due to operational constraints and limited route suitability. Analysts believe disposing of the wide-body aircraft will enable the national carrier to relocate resources toward more efficient regional operations and invest in a fleet that's better suited to its current market demands. Aviation expert Eliezer Mabunda told ZTN Prime that the disposal would generate revenue for the airline for other users.
The new challenge that came now was these aircraft did not have enough certifications or documents, similar to your vehicle, where if you acquire a vehicle right now from overseas, you'd need to get it registered with the authorities that oversee that. So this was the challenge with the birds, and this brings us to today, where we now have had these birds sitting idling at RG International Airport for 5 years now, as the first one was delivered in 2020. They've not been generating revenue, they've just been there. They've simply been that white elephant that we enjoy to look at and hope that one day it will do us a favor or work profitably for us. The management's decision now to get rid of these birds is actually a positive move, as these birds have brought in 0 revenue since they were acquired 5 years ago, and having them parked is simply sitting and watching money waste away when we can turn it to profitability. So with these 2 birds going on sale, we can expect them to bring in a couple $1 million.
Up next is entertainment. Ghana has made history with the grand opening of the Despite Automobile Museum in Accra, West Africa's first dedicated car museum. Unveiled on Sunday, the museum is the brainchild of acclaimed entrepreneur Dr. Osei Kwame Despite, who is renowned for his leadership of the Despite Group. The museum features an impressive private collection of vintage and classic vehicles. Hundreds of guests gathered to admire this unique collection, capturing photos and videos of cars seldom seen on the continent. The opening of the Automobile Museum is expected to boost Ghana's cultural and tourism profile while offering valuable educational opportunities for car enthusiasts, students, and historians.
This is one of the modern states of art, yes, as you can see, Despite Automobile Museum. So far in West Africa, I can tell you for a fact that you can't find this anywhere else. My general impression is just wonderful. I mean, coming in here, seeing cars that you can only see on televisions, on movies, yeah? In movies and all that. You are seeing it here, you can touch them and feel it. It's something you should watch out for, yeah.
Now, SABC has confirmed that trailblazing Chivenda Soapy Movango is set to end after 28 years on August the 8th. The brainchild of Dumaga Ndovu Word of Mouth Productions aired its first episode on SABC2 on April 7th, 1997. This long-running 9 p.m. daily drama introduced viewers to fan-favorite characters Edward Catherine, Dubsi, Doris, Chief Azwindini, Tandaza, James, Mulalo, and KK. Now, stay tuned to Newsplus for sports updates still to come.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Warriors coach Michael Nees believes he must try to protect the players during this international break because of the different fitness levels they have. The Warriors face Burkina Faso on Friday and Niger 4 days later. The friendly matches will help Nees strengthen the team ahead of World Cup qualifiers and AFCON finals later this year.
In terms of team development, we want to integrate these new players. We basically will have to play with a complete new midfield because all the players are out, which are usually were playing so far or starting in the midfield. So that we have to work on. Then it's also, some players, the season ended, some are in mid-season. That will be also from a loading aspect. We must look how this will be affecting the setup of the team. We have some players who came back from a longer injury as well, like Tino or even Bill Antonio, although he was already playing, but he was not yet having 90 minutes games.
Nees said he will be hoping to give many players game time. One of the new players making a return to the Warriors is Belgium-based Bill Antonio.
He's a vertical player, very a real winger and a very dynamic one. And I think we will be very keen how he will fit into our way of playing. For him, it's also new. I think he was the last time with the Warriors. That was long before my time. Yeah, so it will be also interesting how he feels the different to the times before.
Meanwhile, the 2025 COSAFA Cup kicks off on Wednesday with Zimbabwe facing Mauritius in their group opener at Toyota Stadium. Kickoff is 6 p.m. Zimbabwe, six-time champions but without a title since 2018, entered the match with just one training session under their belt. Despite Mauritius never advancing past the group stage, coach Simon Marange has since dismissed notions of an easy match. The Warriors' only training session focused on passing patterns and defensive strategies, with Marange banking on his players' adaptability. And still on sport, the 2025 COSAFA Cup gets underway in Bloemfontein, South Africa tomorrow, with Zimbabwe facing Morocco in their opening Group A match. Ziffa has sent a developmental side made up of mostly under-23 players for the COSAFA Cup. Scotland forward Nathan Mutasa was a late addition to the squad that was named last week, replacing Vusangwenya, and kickoff is also at 6 p.m. Now, Mo's forward Billy Veremu has hit a rich vein of form this season, firing the Norton-based side to the top of the log standings. Veremu has been one of the standout performers at the club, with match-winning performances each week. And despite the rave reviews, Veremu remains grounded and is focused on doing his best for the team. We get more in the following report.
PSL log leaders Mo's FC's fairy tale start to life in the top flight continued with a morale-boosting 1-0 win over Scotland over the weekend at Ngoni Stadium. Informed striker Billy Veremu got the all-important goal to go level with Tel One's Washington Navaya as the joint top scorers on 9 goals. The goal also marked Veremu's most prolific season since hitting 7 goals for Bulawayo Chiefs in 2023. Last season, Veremu enjoyed a forgettable spell at Simba Bora, plagued by injuries and limited game time, but his loan move to Mo's has sparked a resurgence. After swapping Shamva for Norton, Veremu has taken to the field with a vengeance, determined to not only rediscover himself, but also unlock a new dimension in front of goal.
So far, it's going in a good direction. I've been working hard, I was trying to finish my touches, scoring, everything behind the scene. So now the results are coming and I'm very happy. Scoring more goals, like this is my first highest scoring season. So I'm very happy. I will continue to keep on pushing and working very hard so that I can go far.
Veremu's talismanic play has excited many, but the forward is keeping his feet firmly on the ground.
I have to say humble just because I'm not doing this alone. My teammates, they're helping me, we're working as a team, so definitely I should be humble. It was very hard for me, I don't want to lie, it was very hard. But I just told my family I have to wake up again, push again, and from the support of my family and everyone home was pushing me, you can do this, you've been doing this for a long time. So I just decided to wake up and now I'm here again.
Team unity has been one of the hallmarks for most seasons so far, and Veremu believes that the true star power lies in their collective effort.
We love one another, we have a team spirit. If someone makes a mistake, we pick him so to move forward.
Mo's coach Lloyd Mtasa has often played down his team's hot streak, insisting that they are targeting 40 points to avoid relegation. As the points keep coming, the fairy tale rolls on for Mo's, with Veremu's comeback standing out as one of the many feel-good stories in what's shaping up to be one of the most intriguing PSL seasons in recent memory.
South Africa are not worried they have had the opening day of their only warm-up match against Zimbabwe being called off. The 4-day match against the Chevrons is the Proteas' preparation for the World Test Championship final against Australia. This match, however, was abandoned due to rain. Head coach Shukri Conrad was quoted saying the quality time that the team spent and the batsmen time in the nets had added to their preparations. And for Zimbabwe, the warm-up is crucial in helping the Chevrons shape up ahead of upcoming test matches. And that story wraps up our Tuesday evening bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Good night from myself and the crew behind the scenes. I'm Wadzanai Sansole.